Swiss guest cards. How do you get one? What do they offer? And are they really that helpful? Today we're going to explain all the details that you need to know about guest cards in Switzerland.
We're Jana and Brett, Aplins in the Alps, and we help you travel Switzerland with confidence. And part of traveling with confidence is understanding these often misunderstood guest cards. So let's jump right in. But first things first, what are they?
Guest cards are also called tourist tickets or visitor cards or something similar, but they all basically mean the same thing. And when you stay overnight in a variety of Swiss destinations, you're given a guest card. And there are really two main benefits: free local transportation and discounted attractions. Cool, right? But you probably still have loads of questions, starting with, how do I get one?
To get a guest card, you just have to stay overnight in a destination that offers one. Usually, but not always, that means at least one night someplace like a hotel, Airbnb, campground, or holiday apartment. There are exceptions where you need to stay longer than one night, but those are pretty rare. And in some cases, Airbnb guests aren't eligible no matter how long they stay. Either your hotel or host will email this to you about a day or two before arrival, or they'll give it to you during check-in. If you're not sure if you're entitled to receive a guest card, you can always reach out to your host to ask before your trip.
Here's some good news. Guest cards are free. Well, sort of. Technically, you're only given a guest card because you're paying tourist tax, which is required of all overnight guests in Switzerland. That's also why guest cards are only given to overnight guests. But it kind of depends on your perspective. You could just pay tourist tax and not get anything in return, but you're really only getting a guest card because you're paying tourist tax. So I feel like you're technically paying for them. Brett thinks they're more like free because he likes fun surprises. So let us know in the comments below which camp you fall into. By the way, there are actually a few guest cards that you have to buy, like the Zurich card. Now, we're not going to get into those. This video is just covering the free guest card, so we're not going to discuss if it's worth paying for one, but for context, we never have.
Okay, enough with a general overview. You're probably wondering, which Swiss destinations offer a guest card? Sometimes you have to stay in a specific village in order to get one. And other times, you can stay anywhere in an entire canton to receive a guest card. Sometimes there are specific summer and winter guest cards, and other times, there's one guest card for the entire year. So it's nearly impossible to provide a comprehensive list of every single village and municipality in Switzerland that provides one. But here's a brief list of the most popular tourist spots that do: Basel, Bern, Davos, Geneva, Lucerne, Grindelwald, Gstaad, Interlaken, Lausanne, Montreux, St. Moritz, and Ticino. By the way, we've included 32 Swiss destinations with guest cards in our ultimate guide to Swiss transportation, with some notes about what each one covers. So check that out after you watch this video. Now, you might notice a few popular destinations totally missing from this list. For example, we already mentioned that Zurich only has guest cards available to purchase, and Zermatt doesn't offer one at all. Although it is worth noting that the Zermatt Village e-buses are always free to ride. If you're planning your Swiss vacation and you're not sure if your destination or your specific place of lodging includes a guest card, then the best way to find out is to directly contact your place of lodging.
Okay, so you're going to visit one or more destinations in Switzerland that offers a guest card. So how will they help you? Like we mentioned earlier, there are two main benefits of guest cards: free local transportation and discounted attractions. So let's start with the transportation. If you're excited for free transport, then give us a thumbs up by pressing that like button, because you're probably thinking, awesome, free transportation, now I don't need to buy a train pass. Unfortunately, a guest card will not replace your need for a train pass, and here's why. First, it's super important to note that local means exactly what it says: hyper local. We're talking about city buses and trams, very small train segments in a very small area. Sometimes guest cards do have a wider coverage, but that's not typically the case, especially in the popular touristy areas. Another important point is that the mountain transportation is rarely included in a guest card. Now, normally they'll give you some kind of discount, but it's often quite a bit less than you'd get if you're traveling with the half fare card. But we'll talk more about mountain transportation later when we discuss discounted attractions. So for now, let's look at a few examples of guest card transportation coverage. The Interlaken Guest Card is given to overnight visitors staying in Interlaken, Wilderswil, and a few smaller places nearby. It provides free transport in town via train and bus and can get you to places like Isetwald, the St. Beatus Caves, and Beatenbuch, which is the valley station for the Niederhorn. But Harderkulm? Not covered. Schöne Platte? Not included either. In fact, if you're looking to ride to Lauterbrunnen, Grindelwald, or on a nearby lake, none of those are free with this guest card. The Grindelwald Guest Card offers free rides on the local Grindelwald bus lines 121, 122, and 123. These buses will take you to the Grindelwald Fürst and Pfingststeg Valley stations, to the Grindelwald Terminal and Grindelwald Grün train stations, and up to the lovely Café 3692. But trains, cable cars, and gondola rides are not included. The Lucerne Visitor Card covers buses, trains, and trams in Zone 10 of the city network and will get you to the famous Lion Monument, the Swiss Museum of Transport, the Pilatus Valley Station in Kriens, and lots of other cool spots within the city. But once again, no boats, no mountain transport, and nowhere outside of this local zone. If you're staying in or near Montreux, the Montreux Guest Card provides free transport from Vevey to Villeneuve. This is really helpful because these other two villages often have much cheaper lodging options than Montreux, and you can travel between either destination and Montreux by train in just 5 to 10 minutes. And since these villages are mostly built up from the lake, it's nice to be able to ride buses uphill for free. By the way, you can often use the free transportation benefit on the day you're arriving, even before you check in or get your actual guest card. When you're asked for your transport ticket, just show your lodging confirmation. Now, this doesn't work everywhere, but it does in a lot of places, so you will need to double check this guest card feature for yourself.
After seeing those maps, it's much easier to understand why a guest card is not a replacement for a train pass. In fact, we can go a step further and say that for many of you, the free transportation won't even be a benefit at all. If you're traveling with a Swiss travel pass, none of the 4 guest cards we just mentioned will provide you with any free transportation that's not already included in your train pass. If you're staying in Interlaken or Grindelwald, the Berner Oberland Pass will cover everything and more than their guest cards cover. And if you're in Lucerne with a Tel Pass, all that local transportation is already included too. But as you probably know from seeing our ultimate guide to Swiss train passes, we rarely find that the Swiss travel pass is the best buy. And outside of areas like the Jungfrau region or near Lucerne, there's usually not a great regional pass available. Which brings us to the question of, who will benefit most from the free local transport offered by a guest card? And the answer is pretty simple. Anyone traveling to one of these areas without a train pass or only with the half fare card. Quick shameless plug for the half fare card. If you just want to spend the least amount of money possible on transportation during your trip to Switzerland, you'll find that 7 times out of 10, that goal can be accomplished by buying just a half fare card and no other train pass. Yes, you'll have to buy tickets every time you want to ride transportation, but then that's where these guest cards really shine. Every time a route is fully covered by a guest card, that's a ticket you don't have to buy. And even if it's just a few bucks of savings each time, that can really add up over the course of your trip.
It is worth noting that there are some guest cards in less touristy places of the country that cover a much larger area. For example, guests staying overnight in Ticino and Neuchâtel get a guest card that covers transportation in the entire canton. That's just a little bit of an incentive to travel to some of these lesser known places. However, there are also destinations that have guest cards with discounted attractions, but no free local transport, such as Mürren, Wengen, Lauterbrunnen, Brienz, Leukerbad, and the Alet Arena.
That's a pretty good overview of the local transport benefits. But before we talk about discounted attractions, let's answer a few FAQs about transportation. But remember that these are just general answers and you'll need to know the specifics of each guest card you use. Do I need to have a ticket when I ride with my guest card? No, for any route fully covered by your guest card, the guest card is your ticket. You simply hop on board whatever transportation you're riding and then show your guest card if asked for a ticket. It's worth knowing that some guest cards are given to you in physical form, which you'll need to carry with you because pictures of them will not be accepted. Other times, the guest card's sent to you by email as a PDF, which you can show digitally on your phone. And a few places even have a local app that you can use to show your guest card to. Do I need to validate my guest card? Guest cards are automatically valid for the dates written on your card, which should be equal to the dates you're visiting the area, including your arrival and departure days. If you have a properly filled out guest card, including your name and your travel dates, that's all you need. No additional validation necessary when you travel. Will we get one guest card per family or per person? Each person will receive their own guest card, and each person needs to have it with them to be entitled to the benefits, including free transportation. But it's worth knowing that they usually won't give a guest card to a child under 6 years old, since they would be free on public transportation anyway.
As we alluded to earlier, nearly all guest cards in Switzerland provide discounted attractions, such as museums, sites, activities, and mountain transportation. But these discounts can vary widely from location to location. The Interlaken Guest Card provides discounts to destinations like Harderkulm, Schöningeplatte, and boats on Lake Brienz. The Grindelwald Guest Card offers discounts to nearby mountain attractions such as Grindelwald Fürst and Pfingsteg. The Lucerne Visitor Card has a PDF with 5 pages of discounts for nearby destinations, including the Swiss Museum of Transport and mountain transport to Stoss, Rigi, and Pilatus. The Montreux Guest Card provides discounts up to 50% off nearby attractions, including Chillon Castle, the Food Museum, and the Swiss Game Museum. You'll also find that lots of these guest cards give you free or discounted access to local swimming pools, as well as stand-up paddleboard, kayak, or bike rentals.
But let's talk about mountain attractions. The discounts on these mountain trains, cable cars, funicular and gondola rides usually fall somewhere in the range of 10 to 30%, and they can almost never be combined with another discount offered by a train pass or the half fare card. So for the most part, the guest card discounts that are offered are only going to help you if you're traveling without any kind of train pass or the half fare card. As always, there are a few exceptions, like the Saas-Fee Saasdal card, which does actually include nearby cable cars. But like we mentioned before, always double check what your guest card will and will not cover. And keep in mind that the Swiss Travel Pass and regional passes like the Berner Oberland Pass and the Tell Pass also have a pretty long list of discount partners. So before using your guest card to snag a discount on sightseeing, check to see if your train pass offers an even bigger discount.
All right, we have spent years traveling Switzerland, which means that we have had plenty of these cards in our wallets. But one in particular stands out as our favorite, and that is the Appenzell Holiday Card. It gives you free travel in 15 zones of public transport throughout the canton of Appenzell-Innerrhoden. But more importantly, you can ride the cable car to Ebenalp and the Aescher Guest House for free, as well as the cable cars to Hoherkasten and Kronberg. Plus, you get a free ride on the Jakobsbad Summer Toboggan Run, a free bike rental, a free tour of a cheese dairy, and use of the public car Appenzell, which is basically a door-to-door taxi service covering the entire canton for nothing but a 5 franc surcharge per person, plus a whole lot more. Unfortunately, you have to spend 3 or more consecutive nights in the same accommodation to be eligible for this guest card. But believe us when we say it is 100% worth that amount of time in Appenzell. And unfortunately, all of our trips there were before we started our YouTube channel, but something tells me we'll be going back there very soon to create more content.
Obviously, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg when it comes to transportation and attractions in Switzerland. So watch this next to learn all you need to know about Swiss train passes, or press play on this video to help you plan your Swiss vacation. And we'll see you in Switzerland.